Good morning, Chi-Town. We are Windy City Fantasy, back at you again. I'm your host, Steve. Across from me, Wise Sage and Championships of Champions, Moose.
Hello, everybody.
Behind the scenes, but able to see and hear, Elliot.
Would you and your friends like some grape Kool-Aid?
Boys, how we doing this fine Sunday, week 7 morning?
Wonderful.
Right?
I'm ready for some football.
I'm pumped, man. I'm super
ready
pumped.
for some football.
Everything's great. Antonio Brown is a buck. Tom Brady reunited again.
I'm waiting for my honey-do list.
Right?
Reunited and
Honey-do list is in effect today.
So rapid fire response to this Antonio Brown news.
Man, dude.
Listen, I mean, before he had zero fantasy value. Now he has a little fantasy value.
One fantasy value.
All right, true. Tom Brady now, by speculation, you could say, if you look at the upcoming schedules, I believe from week 14 on, or at least little parts in between, he's going to be considered like close to a top 10 quarterback.
So technically, when is Antonio Brown
Week
legally,
9.
I guess, able to? So week 9, he can
Week
sue
9. Yeah, week
In
9, he
theory.
could sue. No. Yeah, provided there isn't any more charges or an increased suspension from the league.
It's going to be a very long week for the
9,
Bucks.
Right. I mean, I don't know. I think he'll be able to practice with the Bucks, take
Yeah.
all the tests, get acclimated to their system, Bruce Arians' system. But listen, you have Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, now AB. You still have Gronk there, Rojo. I mean, you got that's a loaded amount of firepower. Antonio
can't-
Brown he's no slouch.
Yeah, I mean, there's Scotty Miller has stepped up. So, does Antonio Brown become better than Scotty Miller? Does he become better than Evans? Is he their number one guy now over Godwin? I don't think so.
No. I
think
think the pecking order still stays the same. So,
I mean, they still
If
have
you-
Fournette. They still have the rookie Vaughn back there.
So if you follow Matthew Berry at all, he had posted it since the Antonio Brown signing, and he talked about something that was really interesting. So going back to last year, in the Bruce Arians systems, Chris Godwin and Mike Evans had only posted a top 20 wide receiver ranking in 1 week together twice, including for this week for this season, total of 24 games. They've only done it 3 times. Now, granted, like both Evans and Godwin are like just past the 30th ranked wide receiver, but due to injury and inefficiency, but given everything that there is going on, especially with the addition of Antonio Brown, like now you're only going to really see one receiver actually per week have a great week. I don't think you're going to see multiple receivers crack the top 20. So that, and then you can't forget about Gronk in that core. He's still going to want to throw to Gronk, and he's going to have his days. So, I mean, fantasy expectations as far as like all 3 wide receivers, it's going to be a lot, the extra mouths to feed, like you always say.
Mm-hmm.
But Brady should feast, in theory.
So, do you go pick up Antonio Brown?
Yes, and stash him on the bench if you got a spot, or if you're desperate. I would say yeah. Like I did it in one of my leagues. I picked up Antonio Brown, and I'm stashing him just to see what happens, And it may be a good matchup. It'd be different, but
Yeah. So if you do have Antonio Brown, is he a flex worthy?
in the right setup, yeah.
Okay.
But I got to see in that first game what he does.
Basically, I'm saying
what's his target share? What's his snap percentage going to look like? What does he make out of those targets?
Well,
That's what I got to see.
You got 3 really big fish in that pond in Tampa.
Absolutely.
So, is this one of those scenarios where the magic pen needs to come in and we have to guesstimate the best?
Yeah,
player?
undeniably. But until we see further and when he comes off his suspension, we'll know more.
Yeah.
Guys, for those who don't know, take a look at the bottom of our ticker here. It will keep you updated with current players who are out.
Yep.
The ones who are questionable this week, like Julio Jones, Sam Darnold, they're going to start. DeAndre Hopkins been dealing with a ankle injury all week, limited in practice. He's going to start this week.
Yeah.
Crowder is the newest one
Who is out officially.
So no Chowder.
No Chowder this week.
Also, check us out on YouTube. We're on YouTube on Logic Media Radio. So subscribe to us there, and you can be able to watch us also live on YouTube as well as our Facebook page group.
Good morning, Jay. We have 2 questions already that came in. Would you start Kyle Murray over Allen? I would start Allen. The Bills are going up against the Jets. If you have the opportunity, if you have these 2 guys on your team and you're starting one, I'm saying starting Allen.
It's definitely going to be a slaughter fest for the Jets.
Yeah.
Like the Bills are just going to like completely dominate the Jets. So as far as like a fantasy production day, like it's hit or miss. I would actually go on the Kyler Murray side because the Seahawks are going to come back offensively as much as they're going to try to put up defensive front, which just means that he's going to have to run more, pass more, and there's probably going to be a higher scoring game than what you'll see out of the Bills-Jets game. Because if the Jets start getting blown out, then you could probably see more running from Moss and Singletary and less passing from Allen. Unless for whatever reason they jump out early with 3 touchdowns from Allen, maybe 1 rushed in, and then that's it for his day. But that's the chance you take. Either or, I don't believe you're going wrong with it. It all depends on like who's going to score a couple extra points more than the other.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If you happen to have Kyle Murray and Josh Allen on your team, I would go with Allen. However, majority of the leagues have either Allen or Murray, so start them with confidence.
Yeah.
Next one, Jamal Williams or Diggs in a flex.
I mean, no Aaron Jones. Jamal Williams has proven that he can be the guy when given the chance. They're going to have to rely on him also.
I think, once again, if you have these 2 guys, they're probably separate, so start both guys. But in my opinion, I've had Diggs all year. He's never let me down.
Yeah.
And the matchup is so juicy that I would go Diggs again here.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually believe in the fact that Diggs can continue to perform well for you.
Yeah.
Just to give you an idea for the season, right now, he has 42 receptions on 550 yards and 3 touchdowns in 6 weeks. So here we are in week 7. It's a juicy matchup against the Jets. Their secondary can't stop anybody. You already know that Dawson Knox is out. So if you want to take a flyer on Tyler Kroft, I mean, because the middle area of that Jets defense, my goodness.
Yeah, I just feel like this is one of those games where like the Bills are going to feast. In theory, they should feast, and everybody should be productive. That's what I'm saying. Go with Diggs in this scenario. I mean, Houston is. I'm not saying that they're. Let's just say they have a better defense than the Jets. I would be more scared to run the ball on Houston than the Jets. You know, they still have J.J. Watt. They still have, people on the Texan side that are relevant.
Yeah.
But it's too close to call. I think you could start everybody. In my opinion, I think you start Diggs.
Same. We had our flex question. It's going to be Cole Beasley, the Beazles, or David Montgomery. You like what I did there? Because technically for the season, you could try kind of say
I would go Beasley.
Mm-hmm.
I know. Brown has been dealing with that knee injury, and he's been like questionable here and there. But I mean, it's hard to go up against the number 1 running back for a team. Mm-hmm. However, the Bears are playing the Rams. They do have Aaron Donald. They're a good run team or run D. And Montgomery really hasn't proven anything. So, I mean, unless Montgomery's your number 1 running back, which I don't think in a lot of leagues he is, I think Beasley is the start right here. And I would say you can start Beasley with confidence. It's supposed to be a muggy temp out there, and I believe are the Bills playing at home, or are they playing in New York? They're playing at New York, but it's supposed to be rainy. It's supposed to be muggy, or not muggy. Wet conditions, so they're gonna do
a lot of running,
a lot of
that's
slot,
what I'm talking about.
Crosses.
Like, so it'll be short, quick passes. That's why I feel like Tyler Kroft. You're gonna have something out of Moss and Singletary this week.
Yeah, but the beauty with players like Beasley and Diggs is you could give Diggs and Beasley the ball, and they could take it to the house.
Yeah,
so that's the beauty of it. You could run a 5-yard slant and take it to the house, and that's Diggs' day right there.
Take you to the house.
I am at the house.
Hello.
All
right.
Hello, user.
Yeah, Facebook user. Accept the request from StreamYard so we can see your name. But hello. And then lastly, all right, Jay, Hopkins and Ridley as well. with Diggs in this league. I mean, you're pretty loaded. So, I mean, you got a double-edged sword there, buddy. What can I say? So you're obviously starting Hopkins and Ridley if it's consideration of flex because you don't know if you want to start Williams or Diggs. I actually think Diggs. So 3 wide receivers this week, pretty solid. Right.
Yeah, I mean Ridley's going up against Detroit. Hopkins, my thing with Hopkins is I'm not sure about the whole ankle thing. They're saying that he's playing now, but that's the Sunday night game. Anything could happen in the next few hours. I actually have Hopkins in one of my leagues. The only beauty of it is I can play him in my flex position, or not my flex, my wide receiver, tight end, running back position slot, and that's what I'm doing because if he's out, I have somebody for Monday night I can put in.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, I mean, a lot of good matchups this week, a lot of good matchups for a lot of high-profile fantasy players that a lot of people have, that a lot of people are waiting for that big game or on that bubble of like, dude, they could break it out.
Yeah.
Just
also, if you've been following the Raiders since the whole offensive line had been quarantined due to close contact with one member, they've been doing continual testing. The entire team flew. Or not, they didn't fly, but they because Tampa Bay's going to Las Vegas.
Yeah, I think it's the left tackle is the only one that is not with the team right now.
So no other positive tests have been coming up for the line. So it looks like it's a full go for the offensive starting line, which is great news for Derek Carr, Josh Jacobs, Darren Waller, Henry Ruggs. I mean, listen, if they give Carr enough time in his pocket, like they can get it to Ruggs.
Like you've seen it all season when Ruggs is healthy and they give Carr 5 or 6 seconds.
Yeah,
Carr wants to like deep bomb that ball every time.
So last night they took 4 of the offensive linemen off the COVID-19 list. If they test positive, if they test negative today, they're cleared to play.
Cool.
All right, you heard it first. All right, boys, how we doing in the deep dish stand-ins? I almost won. I almost won out the Thursday game with the Giants.
But you didn't.
One freaking point. If Danny Dimes wouldn't have tripped,
it's because he was running too fast.
Did you guys see the Buffalo Wild Wings? They redid that.
Yes, that was hilarious.
I did not.
Oh my gosh, so hilarious! You remember the old Buffalo Wild Wings where the guy was hoping it would go in overtime?
Oh yeah.
And they hit the button and they put up the sprinkler. Mm-hmm. Well, they clipped in Danny Dimes tripping. I
literally feel that he ran so fast that's why he tripped.
It would have been like a 95-yard run had he made that touchdown. I think it would have been the longest, only next to Vic and Jackson.
Isn't that a Giants Eagles game? Like, didn't we talk about it? That always something crazy happens.
Always something. And I almost came out with that W for that Thursday night game, but I didn't.
You didn't. So, I mean, everybody just got
horseshoes and hand grenades, my friends.
Me and Elliot got one more win. So I'm 13-10. Elliot's 19-4, and you're 16-7.
Blah, 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 blah.
So our matchups for next week, me and Elliot.
Too bad I don't gamble.
I know, right?
Maybe you guys should. Maybe we can get a gambling site to promote our show.
Me and Elliot got Seahawks. You got the Cardinals. Me and Elliot. Me and Elliot have the Steelers. You have the Titans, and then you and Elliot have the Bears, and I have the Rams.
Man, I'm doing a long haul on this one here.
Yeah,
I'm probably going to go 0-4 this week.
Yeah, you are.
I hope not, because that means these guys will get a loss.
Right. All right, and without further ado,
which I don't know. Like, I know we're gonna talk about the Bears later, but just a little. Like, if the Bears lose this week, is that really going to be that bad? I kind of feel like the Bears always need one of these losses to kind of like bring it back to reality.
I'd rather lose to a good team than a shitty team.
No, I
don't think the Rams are a crappy team.
But that's what I'm saying. Like,
no, that's what I mean. Like, if I had to lose to a team, I would rather lose to a good team than a crappy team.
I would rather lose like right now, like we're a few weeks away from the bye, kind of like refocus us.
But I feel like we got that bad loss out of the way already.
Which
you know what I mean?
With the Indy loss, because they should have won that game.
Yeah, right.
If you think about it, out of this 5-game stretch, I want to say 4 to 5 game stretch, if they could win at least 2 of those games, they'll be in good shape. 7 wins.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure.
So,
all right, boys, time for Locked and Loaded.
Bring it.
You could ask yourself a question. Do I feel lucky? Well, do you, punk?
That's right, you punks. Did you feel lucky last week in your picks?
Probably
Did you feel
not.
good? Did you feel better knowing that your players either stunk or they did phenomenal?
Well, I wouldn't feel good if my players stunk. That's for sure.
Just talking about it, we have a person out there who loves to call you Skip.
Yeah, I know. That's fine. Call me Skip.
It is what it is. So without further ado, let's dive right into Locked and Loaded. Moose, what do you got for me?
Where are we going?
Wherever you want to start, buddy.
We'll start. We'll go a little backwards. We're going to start with tight ends.
Ooh.
And the tight end I'm choosing this week because he's coming off of injury, and with Locke back in the lineup, I'm going with Noah Fant against the Chiefs.
Mr. Fantastic.
Yes. I think it might be a little shootout. I think they're going to go very pass heavy. I think Noah Fant coming gives Jared Jeudy a little upgrade too as well. But I feel in the red zone, I feel within like those 20-yard lines, he's going to get a lot of targets. He's proven that he's a reliable person. So I would say Noah Fant this week against the Chiefs.
Right. Really quick, Jeremy, Olsen or Hurst this week.
Ooh,
I kind of like Olsen against the Cardinals as far as instead of Hurst. Like Hurst is going to get the end zone targets. However, though, like the Lions defense has been pretty good against opposing tight ends. They're about 9th in the league against opposing tight ends. So it's a very tough matchup for tight ends.
So I was looking at Hurst too as one of my tight end starts of the week. I kind of like feel it just because of what happened with Julio Jones and Ridley last week, where I think if like Atlanta gets these two guys going and they become those monsters again. I mean, when they were getting targeted a lot, their defense was looking at them a lot, which was opening up for Hurst.
Yeah.
But I kind of feel that the Seahawks-Cardinals game might be a shootout. And for Olsen to get 4 to 5 catches for like 50, 60 yards, that's a very good day for him.
Yeah, and since there's no Chandler Jones in the middle to really kind of like protect that area, and they're going to be more focused on Lockett and DK, that there may be a possibility for more openings for Olsen to get targets.
Yeah, and I mean, he's an old guy. He's a veteran. He knows how to get open. And I feel like this is one of those games where Wilson's going to take everything that he could get.
I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility that Hurst can get a little sneaky touchdown,
right.
And that could save your day.
Yeah,
but you're probably not going to see a ton of production out of Hurst.
Yeah, so I would also go with Olsen. I would go with Olsen.
All right, Elliot, what do you got for us today?
Hi.
You want to go last in this one?
No. I'm good. Tight ends, I'm going to go with Jared Cook.
Ooh, yeah. I mean, a solid pick. No Emmanuel Sanders, no Mike Thomas, which, by the way, Mike Thomas is in threat of being out for week 8 as well because of his hamstring injury. So they're going to be heavily relied upon Traquan Smith, Alvin Kamara, Latavius Murray. So definitely should get a lot of looks in the middle.
Yeah, and they're going up against the Carolina Panthers too. So we got a good thumbs up. Good thumbs up.
I'm horrible at finding the camera.
What do you got, Steve?
All right. So for me, I got the Hawk, man. Listen.
Tell me.
Anytime that you can exploit an Atlanta defense, you got to go for it. It's like preying on the weak, right? And there's no other defense in the league that's as weak as Atlanta. They have given up over 400 yards to tight ends, 7 touchdowns, and a ridiculous 13.5 fantasy points per game to opposing tight ends. Stafford is regularly targeting TJ Hawkinson. The problem being is that defenses are also scheming for him as well and taking him out of the picture, so you get a little less of fantasy production. I think this week could be different because of who they're facing. Again, going back to the well, we talked about fire up all your Vikings last week, and only 2 out of the 4 really produced. Yeah. But I think given in this situation, like Hawkinson should have a really good week.
Okay. Hawkinson was on my short list as well.
Yeah. You know, also,
I mean,
Jimmy Graham made my short list too.
Yeah, but I'm like, the Lions-Falcons game, I mean, it should be, in theory, a great fantasy matchup for those fantasy guys, yeah. In theory. But the fantasy gods will tend to either smile or frown upon us when we make these choices. Yeah,
so
I know.
We take it with a grain of salt, folks.
They're a fickle thing.
Yeah.
All right, next on my list, we're going to wide receivers, and I'm starting with confidence this week for sure. Scary Terry.
Ooh, Terry McScorin.
Yes, Allen got the nod to go. He looked to be finding his rhythm last week in Washington before he got injured, or 2 weeks ago, I'm sorry. And then they're going up against the Cowboys. I think it's going to be a shootout. Everybody knows that the offensive juggernaut for Washington is Terry, and I don't see that stopping, even though they know it's going to go to him. I still think he's going to get targeted, 10, 13, 15 times, maybe even catching all of those. Probably, I think he's going to go over 100 yards, possibly a touchdown.
So you know how messed up this is I don't know if it's changed, but I was looking at the over-under and the spread for that game, and they were given 1.5 to Washington, and the over-under being 42.5 for that game. So the fact that they are given 1.5 to Washington, not like a ridiculous 10 like the Jets are getting, goes to show you how bad this defense is and how much confidence they really have in the Red Rifle.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
But I like your pick. Terry Scary.
Thank you.
Elliot?
Hi. So you took my guy, but great minds think alike.
Right? You guys are on the same wave path.
So I happen to have an extremely short list, and the wide receiver I'm going to go with is DJ Moore. After how he played last week, I'm pretty sure he'd want to make up for it, and I think that the opportunity and the target share is going to be good enough for him to get some points for you this week.
Absolutely. There's going to be more than enough to go around. Current wide receiver leader right now on the team is Robbie Anderson, which if you slept on him in free agency and missed out, then I'm sorry, but those are the breaks in fantasy football. You got to be first or last. But yeah, definitely like the DJ Moore pick. They're going to be in a shootout for sure. Even with the loss of Emmanuel Sanders and Mike Thomas, you cannot doubt this Saints offense for a moment. Peyton is going to find a way to score. And Drew Brees, Hall of Fame first ballot, Drew Brees is going to score. So, and this Carolina defense isn't very scary. All right, for me, I'm going Chris Godwin. Now, I get it. It's been a rough season so far. But what isn't is his target share. 7.67 when he's healthy. And he's making the most of it, averaging over 9.5 yards per catch. And even though the Raiders defense is middle of the pack in the league for allowing pass yards, they are beatable. They can't cover everyone on this Buccaneers offense.
Right.
So given that Godwin is a slot receiver, I expect a lot of targets and a lot of receptions to go his way when he's healthy. So that's the only thing that's going to hold him back. That's the only thing that's been kind of dealing with the problem with Evans and Godwin is health this year. Mm-hmm. It's been kind of freaky, but it is what it is. But that's who I'm going with this week. It's Chris Godwin.
I think that's the guy I trust the most right now in Tampa, even though he hasn't been playing. Mm-hmm. Evans has been wishy-washy. Gronk has been wishy-washy.
Evans been getting saved by touchdowns and not a lot of production.
And if you listen to our show on Thursday, I ran the stats. Whenever Godwin was in, Evans only had 2 to 4 targets.
Yeah.
So no, that's a sneaky pick because I think people are still worried about that injury. Mm-hmm. And Jeremy, I do agree. I do believe that Adams will have a good game against Houston. Definitely. Oh, yeah. Have Adams start him.
Mm-hmm.
Another wide receiver, or not wide receiver. I'm sorry. Running back. We're at running backs.
Yeah.
I am going, and I'm playing with confidence. This is the first time I'm going to say it this year. Ronald Jones.
My man. That's my guy who I picked this week. I'm all in with you on this one.
Man, he's slow. 3 weeks, he's averaged over 100 yards. He's been getting close to 16, 17 carries a game. He's getting some receiving yards. And he's going up against a Raiders defense that is definitely beatable. And I think this is a great start. Great start.
And to piggyback off that, I'm not even going to change it up. I'm going to stick with you on the Ronald Jones things. We did not give him enough credit or respect that Rojo needed, because in the last 3 weeks, he's averaged 25.1 fantasy points per game. and no other running back has finished in the top 10 more than 1 week like Ronald Jones has. His average yard per carry over the last 3 weeks is a sick 5.2 yards per carry. Yeah. The Raiders ranked 12th in the league. Like you talked about, they are beatable, and their average yards per game that they're allowed to running backs is 126.
Yeah.
So if you were to even bank, say 90, he may even still get a couple receptions and a touchdown, and you're happy with the production.
Yeah, and if you're going off the last 3 weeks where he's averaged 100 yards, it was like 101 yards, 110 yards. Last week, I think it was like 120 yards. So he's like getting more and more, and they're using him a little bit more and more in the passing game.
And also in the last 4 weeks, Ronald Jones has been the third best fantasy running back.
Boom.
Right? And that's what I'm talking about. Like sometimes you get things wrong because of biasy or the way you view personnel. Because the Fournette signing kind of skewed that. I think we would have viewed him differently. And if the first 3 weeks didn't go how they did, and I think that's because of usage, and Arians like to throw the ball, and then they finally figured it out that, listen, we got to get him involved.
So, I mean, having my skip biasism, this is what I'm going to start calling it now. In the beginning of the season, I said stay away from Jones because I didn't trust anything of the Bucs running game. Hence why I tried to stay away from him. But, I mean, you saw it. You saw it in week 1. They didn't know what to do. Then they went and got Fournette. Then I was like, oh, man. And then they're like, here's Jones, and here's Jones. And it's one of those, like, the more they kept giving him the ball, the better he's been coming.
Yeah.
So.
Elliot?
All right. Talking running backs.
Talking about ribbies.
So I'm going with an oldie, but I guess a goodie for right now.
Peterson?
You could probably get some run out of him, at least this week. Gio. Giovanni Bernard. Jay were on the same wavelength also.
Last week you guys were on the same wavelength and it kind of something got skewed. So let's hope it's around this week, bud.
Well, I mean, he's not on my team, so.
All right.
No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, Giovanni Bernard, I think there's an opportunity. The game, it's part 2 of the inner city rivalry between Cleveland and Cincinnati.
The battle of the Ohio's.
I think, someone's going to try to establish the ground game and make sure, other than Cleveland, because Cleveland has the better running backs. But I think Cincinnati's going to try and match their effort, and that could be some good points for you guys.
Yeah, no, that's a great pickup, too. I mean, no Mixon. So obviously he's going to get the starting gig, and he's proven before he could be a number 1 running back.
And listen, my boy Joe Burrows, he already threw for over 300 yards and 3 touchdowns against the Browns when they met in week 2. So actually my number 2 my number 2 wide receiver, if somebody took Terry, was Tyler Boyd. I like that too. I mean, with Mixon out, like I think Gio's going to get the ball, but I see Gio more getting the receptions, and I feel I'm like having a win through the air. I brought up ribbies, and I was already thinking about Chuck's barbecue, I was thinking about or McRibwich, but they're not in season.
I haven't had Chuck's. I've been trying to get down there.
It's wonderful, so delicious, so delishable. All right, moving last but not least, QBs, the Q-Berts of the league. A little throwback to the little 80s video game for those youngins who don't know.
Oh, man, they just said breaking news. I'm sorry.
No, bring it. We need a breaking news drop.
Apparently, the Raiders are getting fined from the league for something, but nobody knows what it is.
COVID. Same thing for
again?
Tennessee. So Tennessee's getting fined over $300,000 for violating COVID rules, just like the Raiders. So then they were talking about how fines could be coming down and draft picks lost because of the fact that they are purposely not following the rules. Masks not being worn, probably the close contact. So
facilities are closed. They're probably scheduling private practices.
And especially 2 weeks ago, what happened with the Titans in this mess, because the Titans created this mess with the scheduling that they may push it to a week 18 in the NFL.
Yeah.
Well, the NFL wants that anyway, but
I know that's I talked about it this Thursday was my theory that what if this is all a scam also to try to increase the season because fans love it, gamblers love it, but realistically, like I'm happy with a 17-week season plus the playoffs. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love as much football as the next person.
Yeah, but if they want to get rid of the preseason, that's 4 weeks left.
I think they're going to cut it to 2 weeks, and they're going to add another bye and the 18th game.
That's what
I still like the 4 weeks of preseason because you get to see more of your rookies, more of your backups. Everyone gets more acclimated after being off season for so long. The OTAs don't do enough justice. I think you need it, but whatever. I'm just speaking from the purest fan point of view. So
yeah,
go to quarterbacks, and we'll wrap up a little Bear talk.
Yeah, I already quarterbacks. You guys, I already told you guys. Josh Allen. That was my pick of the week. That's my pick of my lock and loaded for this week. I mean, he's going to be against the Jets. Even last week when he lost, he put up good numbers.
Yeah,
he's been a solid performer, and there should be no reason for any setback. Via injury, knock on wood, if anything does happen. But I mean, Josh Allen, I think that's a lock and loaded.
Oh,
if there has ever been one.
That's a double barrel.
Yeah,
locked and loaded.
So I got mad love for Ohio this week.
Ooh, you getting sweet
Cincinnati, Ohio. Joe Burrow.
My boy Joe
Burrow's my guy. I know the president of the Joe Burrow fan club is right here in the middle of the screen. After what happened last time, expect a little bit more of the same.
Look, rivalries like this always bring out the best in both teams, also the worst in both teams. You're going to see it. It's just how it is.
Sorry, there was no jinxing involved. I knocked on wood. No worries.
But yeah, definitely like this pick, Elliott. Look back to week 2, and it was his only second game ever in his career. Yeah. Now he's got 6 weeks under his belt. Yeah. Going into week 7. This is the second time looking at the Browns. I'm sure he's studied a lot of the tape, looking over week 2 and everything going forward.
Yeah, that's why I said Tyler Boyd. You have him start him. If you're looking for a pickup for the week, Joe Burrow's really good. I really believe that the Bengals, if they're going to win, they're going to win through the air. I could see them 40, 50 attempts, close to 300 yards. It would be really lovely if he doesn't throw any interceptions, 1 or 2 touchdowns. That's a great fantasy day for like a 1 week filler.
Yeah.
Biller and filler.
Nice. All right. And then my pick is going to be Los Angeles Chargers, Justin Herbert. I'm going to drop a little knowledge for you boys right here.
Okay. Herbie goes.
Listen, in just 4 games since becoming the starter in week 2, Herbert is averaging 28 fantasy points per game. To put this in perspective, boys, Carson Wentz, Matt Ryan, Lamar Jackson. All right. All top 15 quarterbacks in most drafts. And Herbert is performing at a much higher average after 4 games. Wentz is only averaging 23 fantasy points per game. Matt Ryan, 25. Jackson, 24. These are guys that were going way ahead of him in drafts. And he's making it happen. Now he gets Keenan Allen back. He's healthy. He's good to go this week.
I wouldn't say way ahead in the draft. He was picked, what,
Lamar
6?
Jackson went way ahead of the draft.
No, he didn't.
Lamar Jackson?
Yeah, Lamar Jackson was picked like 2nd round.
That's what I mean. Way ahead of Herbert.
Herbert
was not even drafted.
No, man. Herbert was picked by the Chargers in the 6th pick of the 1st round.
I'm talking fantasy draft.
Oh, yeah. Continue with your story.
Woo! All right. Anyways, this should also be a big game for Hunter Henry.
Yeah.
Mike Williams, when Allen went out against the New Orleans Saints, he feasted the most, got the most production. Everybody has been gelling great. This kid has gone from too long of a throw in motion to a short throw in motion, and he's still mobile and he's moving around. He's got great vision.
I think he brings like a swag to that offense,
and
like youth, and like he's confident. He stays in the pocket.
Yeah.
He's like 2 defenders. I'm still going to throw it over.
Right. He's not afraid to take a hit.
Yeah, exactly.
And on top of this, Jacksonville is ranked 6th in the league of allowing more than 270 passing yards to opposing quarterbacks, while also giving up an average of 30 points per game to teams.
Yeah.
Tanksonville.
Right? So this has all the making of a great start for Herbert. So if you had to choose Andy Dalton or Justin Herbert, who would it be?
Andy Dalton.
Mike Post, has Lamar been sort of a bust with his high expectations? I believe the regression is here. This is what everybody had been talking about because they went back and reviewed all the tape from last year. They're trying to scheme more, include spies so that he doesn't run so much, but he's still making it happen. Will he top 1,000 yards this year? That's what I want to ask you boys.
Okay, realistically,
his passing has not changed. It's still the same.
So that's what I'm saying. Is he a bust because he's not getting those rushing yards that you wanted?
I think that's why people are considering.
Would he a fantasy bust or an NFL bust?
Because right. So here you go. He has
draft day value wise. He's not bringing back the value that how high you draft.
32 fantasy points, 19, 14, 29, 17, 35.
So you had 2 top 5 performances. 3. Okay, 3 top 5 performances,
and then
3 averages.
2 performances,
or they're on bye or whatever.
Under 20, and then 1 where he was just under 15.
Right. I mean,
I'm saying he has.
We're talking splitting hairs here, but realistically, like
10 touchdowns to 2 interceptions. What you're pissed about is that he's not averaging 100 yards a carry.
Yeah.
If anyone is averaging 100 yards a carry, I want them on my fantasy team.
Right, exactly. But I'm saying 45,
no, a carry.
Yeah,
not a game, a carry.
I'm sorry. A game. But I'm saying his rushing numbers are down, so I wouldn't consider him a bust. I just don't consider him a late second, early third round pick.
No. He's definitely not bringing the draft day value that you would hope to get back. Because currently he's only has 346 rushing yards for the year. Last year he had 1,206 with 7 touchdowns. So maybe he's on pace to close to 1,000. He may not hit it. So does that really qualify as a bust then? Because we already knew what he does when he throws. He's very short distance. He doesn't have the deep ball skills. You know, he doesn't have a ton of accuracy. You're going to see the 150 to 220 yardage per game for maybe a couple of touchdowns, and it's always going to be Mark Andrews or a little Hollywood Brown, but nothing more than that.
Yeah.
So he's just he's a cross between. I can't even call it a cross between a Vic and a Newton. He's more like Newton light, but with just more running without the injuries right now.
So hear me out. Is this more of an issue as far as this being Mitch Trubisky syndrome? Because Mitch also could run, not like Lamar, but at one point they wanted to force him to stay in the pocket. So what you notice with Lamar in those first couple of games is they didn't want him running that much because that position is prone. You know what I mean? Like that style of quarterback has been known to like not last long in the league. So I don't know if you notice the first couple of games, he was resigned to stay in the pocket. And then once they were just like, no, you know what, let him go. That's when he started exploding with all those yards.
Good example of that was RG3's first year where he ran all over the place. I mean, nowhere near the numbers that Lamar did, but like Shanahan did him wrong with how much they were running, and especially he couldn't slide. He always took the hits head on. I
kind of feel like last year was like, we have a new toy. Let's see what he could do. And he blew up the league. And then this year, Harbaugh's like, I know what my toy could do. I'm not risking it getting injured. I think if they need him to run, he's going to run, but they have enough good running backs to where he doesn't need to run what he needed to do.
But see, that's the funny part is because they're not even utilizing the 3 running backs properly like they have.
Well, I mean, because they're trying to feed everybody the ball.
Right, but I mean, if you want to know what you have in Dobbins, the rookie, then give him the ball more, get him in more snap percentage. But right now, I think Ingram is still dominating the snap percentage among running backs, and he's been inefficient.
Yeah.
So
I mean, last year you saw down the end of the stretch, it was Ingram and it was Jackson. That was it.
Yeah.
And then everybody else got a sprinkle because they were tired.
Yeah. So,
but I think this year it's different because they don't want him to get injured. They don't want him. He's sliding more. He's running out of balance more. Last year, he would spin in. He would juke back to the middle and try to get an extra yard or two. Now he's like, they're a good team where they don't need him to run the ball 100 yards a game now.
Yeah.
And that's what's affecting him fantasy-wise as far as points go, because people expected that the Lamar of last year, this year, and they're not getting it. And that's why they think he's a bust.
Yeah, we talked about it at the beginning of our when we started this show. We were saying it's Mahomes and Lamar, but I said you would want Mahomes because the Mahomes is going to get you the 3-4 touchdowns, 400 yards.
Yeah.
And he sprinkles on the run game. If Lamar doesn't get you 60, 70, 80 yards rushing, then he's only passing for anywhere between 150 to 200 yards a game.
Mm-hmm.
But I wouldn't say he's a bust. It's still too early. And like I said, he's a game changer. He could, if they need him to run the ball, he's going to run the ball. And then you're going to be like, damn, that's why I drafted him.
Right.
We're not even at the halfway mark of the season yet. I would give it a couple more games, like 2 to 3 more games. Once you get after that, you could panic if you want. I mean, Lamar's still a good quarterback.
Yeah. And I mean, if you're panicking, then trade him. That's a name that I would take him.
Yeah.
You could get quality for him.
I don't think people should get freaked out. Realistically, though, he's not giving you the value that when you draft him so high.
Yeah.
But he's still going to finish in the top 10 among the quarterbacks this season on his legs alone. So we got a couple minutes left. So let's wrap it up with some Bears talk. Bears are playing the Rams Monday Night Football. So that'd be very interesting. As we are going up against a very stout run defense and pass rushing defense with Aaron Donald and company. So what can we really expect out of Nick Foles and company this week?
Whatever the offensive line gives him. I think we talk about this on the show all the time, where it's the offensive line is what I think makes or breaks whether the Bears win or not. And if they could contain Aaron Donald and company, then I think the Bears have a good chance of winning. Because like we said, I think Ramsey, he's going to take out Robinson, but I feel that Graham, Mooney, Miller could pick up that slack and get us those needed 5 more catches.
He definitely needs to spread the ball out a lot more instead of like being so focused. Definitely, he's been hurried way too much. I know, like I said, we've beaten the line into the sand so much that it's getting redundant.
Yeah, but facts are facts. That's
right.
The thing.
That's the problem. The facts are the fact. But we can't talk about the woes of the offensive line for so long. It then comes down to is like, listen, if they have problems and they know it, which they do, just like the Giants are been doing, Jason Garrett knows that the offensive line has issues, so they scheme for less time in a pocket. The moment the ball is hiked, you have like 2 seconds, and then you got to be releasing the ball because they don't have the time to give Daniel Jones. Just like if the Bears offensive line can't give Nick Foles more than 2 seconds in the pocket, they need to plan to try to quick release, short routes, something. They really need to hammer down with the running. They really do. Whether they keep at average of 3.3 yards per carry, which is ridiculous, or not, they gotta force feed the ball. Yeah. Something's got to give.
Knowing the Bears' first play of the game would be a 5-step drop on an out route, on a go route. Yeah. If I were the Bears, I would do exactly what these two gentlemen said. I would plan for intermediate. I would scheme away from Aaron Donald. Screen game, which we all know that is in existence or non-existent here in Chicago. The only screen we know is the screen door.
I cut my finger on the screen door, Paul.
I think they have to pound Montgomery no matter what, because if they don't, if they don't, it's not going to open anything up. Like delayed, like draws, delayed. Well, you used to be a part of the show, Mike. So, draws, jet sweeps. They're going to have to try to get to the edge, but they're going to have to do everything away from Aaron Donald.
Like that's the only screen that we know how to run is a jet sweep to Peterson, and like every team knows we're going to do that now. They're like, Peterson's on the ball or on the field, like watch the screen, and then it's like, no shit, there's a screen. I call it right now. First play is going to be like shotgun, halfback delay, and it's going to be Aaron Donald's going to blow up Montgomery, like shit on him.
You're going to see the helmet go flying. He's going to have his whole world rocked out.
Yep, there's going to be like Bears only had one attempt for a run, which was -5 yards.
Oh my goodness. All right, that's all the time we have for today, guys. I want to wish everyone the best of luck this week in your leagues. I hope you take our advice for a grain of salt and you make the right decisions. Do not hold us to heart for everything.
Yes, we are not experts.
Yeah, you have your own mind.
We only pretend to be experts on the show.
All we do is give you the facts and the stats, but you have your own mind and your own knowledge to make your decisions.
Right.
And then you can't be butthurt because you listen to us.
This has been a moment.
I tell a lot of jokes too, so
yeah.
I mean, don't mind me. I'm the least smartest of the three. So at least when it comes to fantasy football.
We're learned. All right, from all of us here at Windy City Fantasy, myself, Moose, Elliot, stay frosty, Chicago.
Have a good Sunday, everybody.
1.5 thumbs up.